the Retro Network Podcast.
That's nothing new, sweetheart. You enjoy it, but it's from well before your time.
That was a segue I had not intended, but good for you.
The flagship show for the Retro Network Podcast channel.
Yes, this is the TRN Podcast. Jason and Mickey with you.
Yes!
Get ready for the latest pop culture news.
We've got plenty of recurrent events headlines to get to.
Star Trek Episode 49. Cobra la 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 la.
Wow, we're still making Tomb Raider movies?
What is up with that?
And topical discussions on all that stuff we grew up with and just can't leave in the past.
If I commissioned somebody to write me a song about the feeling I get when I think about the 80s, this would be it. Defunct department store mascots that should be Funko Pops.
The little elf from Heels.
All right, Funko, are you listening? Probably not. Did you watch a lot of Mr. Rogers?
No, I couldn't stand it.
Really? You hater. You freaking Mr. Rogers hater.
And now, here are your hosts for the Retro Network Podcast, Jason.
Mental note taken.
And Mickey.
Have you ever had an afternoon after nap hangover?
Episode 31 of the Retro Network Podcast is here. You've got Jason on the line and Mickey.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
I am rested, but I'm mildly suffering from a small cold. But other than that, I'm really good today.
That's good. I've got some nasal stuff going on too. Well, I guess we'll just apologize to everybody listening this week, and hopefully it'll subside quickly. But did anything fun this past week? What's been going on?
I've been drinking a lot of Appalachian cough syrup trying to fight off this cold. That's always a good time.
You have like I just picture like this root cellar or something that you have underneath your house that's just like stocked with the stuff, you know.
Yeah, not quite a root cellar, but I am always stocked with the cough syrup and the ingredients it takes to make it.
I hear you there. I need some remedy like that available to me instead of just over the counter stuff. But anyway, yeah, it's been a pretty good week for me too. Didn't go through the ESPN stuff like I had been doing. I was over there on Disney Plus. I found Flight of the Navigator the other night and I had to watch that.
Oh
gosh, I had the kids with me too, and I'm trying to explain to them what's going on, but you never appreciate. That's a movie I remember watching as a kid and really enjoying, but the elements around it, like the soundtrack, oh my gosh, I loved the soundtrack to Flight of the Navigator. All those like really synthesized tones and the little elements about it too, like the fake, they have all these like fake UFO sightings at the beginning of the movie. One is like they look up and the blimp is going over, and when he's going through the woods, he looks up, looks like a UFO, but it's the water tower, you know. There's all this allusion to what's coming, and I love that about the movie. But they're all like, "What? Wait, he time traveled? How old is he?" And you know, all this stuff. And I was asking them, "Do you recognize the voice of the spaceship, Max?" And they didn't recognize it at first, and then once he scans the boy's memory, then he starts getting the more Pee Wee Herman voice, and They're like, "Oh yeah, it's Pee Wee."
Well, I gotta fool around with the settings on Disney Plus and see if you have a lower video quality setting, because our internet service it falls on the calendar month, first through the end of the month. And on the 21st, last Monday, I'm doing some work on the network, and I get this bubble that pops up from Comcast. You've reached your unlimited limit on internet.
Unlimited limit? What?
Yeah, they call it unlimited. But once you hit that number, okay, so the unlimited, you get 1,500 gigabytes. After that, it's $10 for every 50 gigabytes.
Oh, okay.
2/3 through the month, we hit 1,500 gigs.
Wow.
And the only thing different than normal is Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just didn't think about it. I've always went into Netflix and Hulu as soon as we get started with them and go in and change the video quality, knock it down a notch or two so it's not eating up near the amount of bandwidth. But
right.
I forgot to do that with Disney Plus, and my wife and kids have had it on a 24-hour loop, it seems like. And
yeah,
Yeah, we've wore it out, but they're feeling the consequences of it. I'm like, no more Disney Plus until the end of the month. Because since the 21st, what is today, the 25th?
Yep.
I checked their usage. We've already used another 300 gigs. That's another $60 on the internet bill this month already.
Yikes.
With 5-6 days to go. So
yeah. I thought maybe you're lowering the quality to get that like VHS feeling when you're watching these small movies or something, you know.
No, I really, at least I don't really notice the change in video quality so much. I mean, it's not like we're turning it way down. It's just, I don't have a 4K TV. I don't need to be streaming it in 4K or whatever.
That's right. That's right.
It does me no good. It just eats up bandwidth.
Well, speaking of being subscribed to Comcast, you're going to be one of the people that can look at the new Peacock app early. You'll get it access to it in April this year, and everybody else that wants to look at it, it will be in, I think, July. Anyway,
I still have to download an app, so I wonder how it knows that that my internet's through Comcast, because I don't have their Comcast cable or anything. Maybe those people will get it early.
Oh, okay. That could be too. I don't know the specifics of it. I figured you had to have like a Comcast login or something, and you could check it out early. But anyway, let's get rolling on with the show. Just a couple announcements over there on Patreon. We did drop our first episode of the Drive-In 95 series with Tommy Boy. That was just yesterday as we're recording this. So hope you guys will go over there, support us, and listen to us talk about Tommy Boy. That was a really fun show to put together. Lots of fun facts.
Oh, yeah. You busted out some stuff I didn't know about it. And to speak on Patreon for just a second, Tommy Boy's available at the $5 level and up, but you get more than that bang for your buck. At the $5 level, you're getting the monthly TRN Drive-In 95 25th anniversary of these movies that we're doing our drive-in shows on. You get all the written features, which right now we've got this ongoing series, TRN Fashion Files, and then video of the week, stuff to get you over the hump in the middle of your week at work and things. So you get all that for your $5, and you get to know that the money is not just going to Jason and I. We use it to seed new creators and projects on the Retro Network to give you even more free stuff that you can enjoy.
That's right. And you get our Outtakes and Stories podcast, which I have enough to do a new one. I'm going to try to put that together maybe and release it here next week for everybody over there on Patreon. Those are always fun to just, I don't know. I just take chunks in between as we're recording and I'll splice it all together. Then I go back and listen to the whole thing. So I've got like 2 hours worth and, whittling it down to some of those fun moments and stories is always a great time.
And people finally get to hear all the stuff I say that you cut out. Which I'm glad you make it
that much out, but
I'm glad you make it available in some form or fashion, because I'm laying down life lessons for people.
That's right.
How to live a full and rewarding life.
That's right. And that homebrew cough medicine recipes, that's good.
That's in an episode. That's in an Outtakes episode we've already dropped.
It is. Yeah, that was one of the first ones.
I don't know which ones, so you people have to go listen to them all, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. And we've been talking about doing some mini episodes as well to release over there on Patreon, since we are been talking about our grocery store memories and jobs and alluding to that. I think we're going to start dropping some, just, I don't know, quick, maybe 10, 15 minutes at the most, stories of us working in the grocery store industry. And it was just a fun time.
Tales from the grocery store.
Grocery stories.
Grocery stories. I like that. That's even better. I was thinking like Tales from the Hood or Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the grocery store, Tales from the stock room. But I'm sure you were the same way. We had a lot of characters at our grocery store, and I have stories for days and days and days about some of the stuff. So we'll be dropping those. Maybe we'll start those in February and get it like a regular schedule. We're going to try to maybe record a little bit after each of our regular podcast recordings and put those in little mini episodes for you over there. So that will be a lot of fun. Coming up in this podcast, though,
We've got our recurrent events, including Masters of the Universe soda. Just think about that for a minute.
Well, that hit me like a brick when I read your notes for the first time 5 minutes ago. And I come across that. I'm like, what in the hell?
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing about that one.
That is coming up. And also, is the Obi-Wan series on Disney Plus in trouble? We'll give you the details on that. And then in our Time Machine segment, sponsored by Retro Days, oh man, you came up with this one, and it's been tough to whittle down to 5, but it's going to be our top 5 favorite fictional sporting events that we would have loved to attend back in the day. So think about, there's stuff even outside the major sports that I thought about, but think about all those movies and TV shows that featured, sporting events and ones that you would have loved to attend.
Well, the thing that hit my brain was when you watch Karate Kid and you get to the All Valley 84 karate tournament and how exciting it is watching it, and Daniel LaRusso's going to fight and the crowd goes crazy. I'm like, I will want to be in that crowd for that moment and feel that adrenaline rush. And then it gets me thinking about, well, what other cool sporting events would I wish I'd have been at? So we turned it into a whole thing here today. I think it'll be fun to do.
Yeah, it's almost like a sports movie and TV show review, if you want to put it that way. But
with the Super Bowl coming up this weekend,
that's right. Yeah.
It's the atmosphere is right to talk about big time sporting events.
That's right. It fits definitely with that attitude as you get approaching the Super Bowl. So it's going to be very fun in the Time Machine segment this week.
We could have been like other podcasts and stuff and been counting down our favorite Super Bowl commercials, but we'll let them do that. We'll talk about the other big time events.
That's right. There are some good Super Bowl commercials over the years, and I've actually counted them down on my own site, but I love this one. This is something that you don't hear about very much. So, all right. Well, that's coming up. But first, let's get to those recurrent events. Leading off our recurrent events this week, we're going to camp out on Disney for a while here. And we teased this a while back. It is confirmed now that Robert Zemeckis is doing a live-action Pinocchio remake. I guess they called it remake. I'm not sure if it's, it should be using close to the original story. But Disney's in that live-action mode now where all those classics are being converted over. And another one this week they just announced was Bambi is getting a live-action movie, in that style of like Lion King. So,
well, that Lion King movie, I've not watched it, but it's one of my daughter's favorite movies, and I've seen it on, and it looks really well done. That movie aside, the rest of those things are creepy as hell. That Dumbo movie, that could be like a horror movie looking at that thing on TV.
I have not watched any of those yet, any of the live action remakes. So,
well, I never watched the animated Lion King, never seen it. And I'm not a big fan of these live action remakes they do, but seeing that one on the screen when I've walked by and stuff, I actually want to sit down and watch it because just what little bit I've seen, it looks tremendously well done. And I know it got great reviews and stuff. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing too. If you've got that connection back in the day, it might be a toss up to which one you prefer, or if you're even going to like the live action one, just depending on how they, follow that original one. But I am lying. We did watch the Lady and the Tramp one, I believe is on Disney Plus. My daughter had that on one day and it was okay from what I was seeing. But I think you're right. As far as the way that they generate the characters and how lifelike they look is pretty good. And it's Disney. I mean, you're going to get the best special effects. You're going to get high quality stuff. It's whether the story is matching what you remember too, I think that's part of it. Now, as we alluded to, there was a headline this week that the Obi-Wan series has been cut from 6 to 4 episodes. And some of the plot details were actually revealed, which kind of piqued my interest, even though it's down to only 4 episodes. But one source in particular claimed that the story outline in the scripts was very similar to The Mandalorian in that Obi-Wan is serving as the protector to a very young Luke and possibly even a young Leia in the similar fashion as how The Mandalorian is, being the parental figure to Baby Yoda. But
Didn't I bring that up on here? that how similar they would be just because of the nature of the character that we know. So yeah.
Yeah, in the setting too, being on Tatooine or wherever they are, to have that desert background,
And it's also cheaper to film something like that because you don't need sets, you just need wide open space.
Right. But you think of like a young Luke with his aunt and uncle there, and how Obi-Wan was kind of set there to protect him in the time being, and I think that could make for a good show.
This part about possibly even a young Leia Organa. Well, we saw at the end of the Rise of the... I get all the titles mixed up. The one where Darth Vader actually first becomes Darth Vader. Anyway, she was taken by, whatever his name Organa is off to live. And then when you get to Star Wars, she don't know Luke. So it wouldn't make sense if he was protecting them both together. Unless it was when they were just babies and not... like kids running around when he's like, get that out of your mouth, different stuff. But if it's already cut from 6 to 4 episodes, should you not just make a movie of it at this point?
That's what I'm thinking.
Cow some more.
Yeah, make it a movie. I think the big thing was the writer dropped out, so they were, I guess, worried about doing rewrites, or maybe that's why they reduced it to 4 episodes. But I don't know. It would be nice just to get a nice movie and release it wide, but I'm sure they want that content for Disney Plus too,
Yeah.
And then speaking of content over there on Disney Plus, I did read that Willow, that we might need to pump the brakes on that. The actor Warwick Davis, who was the main character in Willow, he was quoted this week saying, "The internet has gotten a little bit ahead of us here. There's a lot of work on development and working out what this potentially could be, but there's no definite green light. Go. We're doing this." So, we were talking about that last week, and it's a pretty cool concept to bring some of these properties back. And I kind of group Willow in that Waterworld era. Or Waterworld list, it was something that it just seemed like it was I guess more of a disappointment to people, or wasn't as big as it probably should have been,
Well, I think it wasn't as big as it should have been, but it wasn't for lack of, it's a beautiful movie on film, the sets and things, it's beautiful, but I also think Willow as a series would be much better served as an animated series than a live action series. Because the movie costs so much, and if you're going to try to recreate that imagery, it's going to cost so much to do a series. So you either sacrifice quality or you don't do it at all. You could do the animated series. Because the whole story is perfect for an animated series. So let's just do that. Just get him to voice it, and once he gets done, it could be a scheduling conflict too. I know he's in the slam dunk contest this year and stuff, so maybe maybe once that's over, he can lend his voice to this stuff.
We think about what Netflix did with The Dark Crystal, and I've heard nothing but good stuff about that. I didn't end up watching it before I got rid of Netflix, but that looked, just from the trailers and everything, looked really well done. And there's a lot of CGI, more of the CGI than trying to recreate all the sets like you were talking about, and doing a full-on series, like live action series. So I don't know, maybe they should take a page out of that book and try to do something similar to what The Dark Crystal did.
Yeah, because, and the other actors, you got to have Mad Mardigan in it, and Val Kilmer just does not look the part anymore. So let's just do animated. Let's pay these people for their voice acting, and I'd be fine with either way. But I was a huge Willow fan, so I'll support this all the way myself. Okay.
Moving on. We've got some movie news here. Actually, several items we'll get through. First up is Ghostbusters Afterlife. Was reading this week that has more practical effects than CG than what was expected. And this is always a good thing. We also got Bill Murray's take on the script, and he says, quote, "The script is good. It's got a lot of emotion in it. It's got lots of family in it with through lines that are really interesting. It's going to work. We are a man down. That's the deal. And that's the story we're telling. That's the story they've written," unquote. So it sounds like it is kind of that heritage we were talking about, and it's alluded to in the trailer of Egon. And it's going to be kind of getting the band back together to go after something, some worldwide threat. But that's what I got out of the trailer, and it sounds like that's what's going to be happening according to Bill Murray. But I think everybody is confirmed coming back except for Rick Moranis. I think he's the only one. And I don't think anybody really expected him to come back just with his removing himself from Hollywood altogether. So that sounds really good.
Good for him sticking to his guns, whether I agree with him or not.
Yeah.
The man's got his backbone and he's going to stick with it there. So
that's right.
Good on him.
And speaking of less CGI, also read a headline that the Snake Eyes movie is going to be heavy on the physical stunts and light on CGI, which is good. And I even saw one of the actors was quoted as saying it was similar to some other show, I think Chinese show. And the article that I'm linking to here has a clip from that and all the sword play and just martial arts that you could want in a Snake Eyes movie. So I'm glad about that news, that it's going more practical instead of heavy on the CGI. And I'm sure they don't have I don't know what the budget is for Snake Eyes, but I'm sure it's not a huge budget. This one you're going to enjoy, Mick. They're doing a movie on the rise and fall of the Von Erich family. It's headed for the big screen, actually, and it's going to be basically a drama. So it's not like a documentary, something like that on the family. And if you didn't know, this was the time I was into wrestling, and I remember watching Kerry Von Erich, I believe it was, on what was the wrestling federation or league that they played on ESPN in the afternoons.
World-class championship wrestling.
That's it, yeah. I remember watching him on there, and I do remember when he got to the WWF and was the Texas Tornado. But, that's... Wow. Just reading about that, I didn't realize that... Is it 4 of the brothers they lost?
They had their youngest was electrocuted in an accident when he was only a year or two old. Then they lost David Von Erich, who was the best of the bunch, was going to be world champion. He died of, what's listed as acute enteritis while he was touring Japan, died in a hotel room. Then you had Mike, who was, he was younger than Kevin and Kerry and David. He suffered an injury, had toxic shock syndrome, went into a coma, suffered brain damage, and eventually committed suicide because of that. Then you had Chris Von Erich, who was the youngest, who wanted to be a wrestler, but because of his asthma and something else he had, his bones were too brittle. He had one match, threw a drop kick, and when he hit the mat, he broke his arm. And he wouldn't get out of the ring. He tried another move and fell and broke his other arm. Realizing he would never be a wrestler like his brothers that he looked up to, he committed suicide.
Wow.
And then you had Kerry Von Erich, who had all kinds of battle drug problems and marital problems and child custody problems, and was arrested for forging prescriptions and was facing a lot of jail time, and he committed suicide.
Wow.
And he committed suicide in January 93. And that just left Kevin, who has 2 sons who are successful in the wrestling business, and Kevin lives in Hawaii and trains people, and by all accounts is a miserable human being, but can you blame him? I mean,
Gosh. Well, I just can't think of the father and the mother and having to go through all that, watching your sons.
The unfortunate part of it, the father has to bear a lot of the blame for this too. Always pushing his sons into it. When Mike had his toxic shock syndrome, had his brain injury, they trotted him out on television at the hospital looking like a zombie to get ratings on the TV show. And he's sitting there slurring his word. It's very painful to watch it on YouTube. And Fritz is there behind him like, he's coming back and he's going to be a champion someday. And they parade him out at a big show at the Parade of Champions to wave at people. And he's just a zombie. He's half brain dead. And bringing him on TV every week and trying to push him, it was too much. He couldn't do it. And he ended up, committing suicide. And so, if the movie tells the story accurately, it'll be a very sad movie. I don't know that they will portray it accurately, though. because drugs fueled a lot of it. For people who really want some good stories, there is a documentary from a few years ago. You may even find it on YouTube. It's called Heroes of World Class. You should check that out because you have interviews with the people who were around them, the other wrestlers, and will tell you the truth. David did not die of acute enteritis. Bruiser Brody, who's now dead himself, he was murdered in Puerto Rico in '88 in a locker room. But at the time he was with David, he was a major star. He went to check on David. He found him, and he also found numerous pill bottles open laying around him, and he took all that, flushed it before he called for help. So yeah, if they tell the story the way it needs to be told, it would be fascinating. And if it had any kind of budget and any kind of director, the story itself lends itself, I'm talking actual Oscar nominations, if it's done right, because the story is so unbelievable, but it's true. But we'll see what they do with it.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, you don't see a lot of movies these days. They want the feel good ending or the happy ending or ending on a good note, and it just from hearing you talk about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, really? It's going to be a real downer.
The only happy ending they could give it would be if they focused on Kevin at the end,
right?
Battling those personal demons and doing what his brothers couldn't, and that's living through it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we will keep our eye on the development of that movie. And then finally, were you a big Kung Fu fan back in the day?
I liked it when, what was the name of the newer series? The Journey Continues? Was that what it was called? Kung Fu, The Journey Continues?
Sounds right.
I used to watch that because it was on syndication on TNT or something in the 90s. I used to watch that. It was okay.
My dad loved Kung Fu. David Carradine, and he would sit and watch that show. I remember, I don't know, I think it was on the weekends or something, and I would come in, sit in with him a few times, but it hasn't really been one that I've watched over the years. But that is going to be remade at Universal using the director from Hobbs and Shaw, David Leitch. So that's coming up if you guys are Kung Fu fans. Now let's get on to some toys and products here and a little lighter side. Funko, we hinted at the top of the show. It's launching its Soda Collectibles line with DC characters, He-Man, and a bunch more. So, yeah, I said He-Man soda or Masters of the Universe soda. It's actually figures that are inside a can that looks like soda. So there's not actual soda. Yeah.
Wait, back the truck up here, okay? There's no actual He-Man soda?
No, I'm sorry. It's just the can and a figure inside.
May your camel lose its humps. You're telling me that stuff. Get me all excited for a He-Man or soda and stuff like that. I was really want to try the Tila flavor.
Oh gosh. I don't know where to go from there, but anyway, so what they're doing is each soda can contains a 4 1/4 vinyl figure and a collectible disc, and it's got some variants there that you can get. So they're going to do DC Comics, Hanna-Barbera, Masters of the Universe, Green Hornet, Thundercats, General Mills, Batfink, and Bob's Big Boy. Those are the ones that you'll see. In these, it looked cool. I was like, really? They're going to do soda? Because Funko has done cereal. It tasted like crap, but it was cool that they actually gave us cereal. So I'm thinking, this is cool. They're going to give us some cool flavors or whatever. Nope, it's just a figure in a can. So I was disappointed with that too. And then I wanted to run through real quick some of the new Funko Pops that they announced just this past week at London Toy Fair.
One more note on these soda cans. I never got into the Funko Pop collecting. Mm-hmm. And even if I wanted to now, you're so far behind. Well, this may be a jumping on point for people who like the product like me. And here's something new that you can start buying from the beginning and have a chance of making the collection what you want it to be.
Yeah.
So it'd be all right.
If you tried to collect them all, it would be impossible at this point. There's just so many variants too. I've got I went out and got the Ghostbusters to start out, but Egon was an exclusive to San Diego Comic-Con. So I've never got the original Egon, and if you want one, it's like, $200 or $300. if you can find it. And then they finally released like some variants so I could get an Egon that says like slime on them. But anyway, it's kind of weird just the way that they have done that through the years. So I focus on just ones that I see that I might want. Like I'm looking now for the Christmas Vacation ones. I want a Clark and I want a Cousin Eddie. But I missed that by, I don't know, a couple years too when they first were released. So it's kind of weird. But there is some good ones here that are coming out this year that can give people a jumping off point. And that it does include Masters of the Universe. We've got He-Man, Sorceress, Prince Adam, Cyclone, Mosquitor, Tongue Lasher, and Webstar. I'm not sure why they chose them to start, but you're also going to get a He-Man and Battle Cat deluxe set, a 10-inch Skeletor, and then there'll be some variants at, like Target and Hot Topic that they do. Here's some other fun ones. They're going to do Fantasy Island, Murder, She Wrote. You're going to get a Jessica Fletcher. You're going to get all the characters from the Dinosaurs TV show from the late 80s there. The Gummy Bears from Disney. The Great Mouse Detective. You're going to get Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Hey.
And then the music ones, James Brown, Aerosmith, Willie Nelson.
Got to get me a Willie Nelson.
Salt and Pepper, Slayer, Eazy-E, Motorhead, Shania Twain, like old school Shania Twain, and ZZ Top.
Hey,
and then
are they really going to have fuzzy beards on them, I wonder?
I don't know. That would be cool if they did. Probably not. But I didn't realize that they have games now where you can use the Funko Pops as the pieces on the game board. And they're doing one for Golden Girls and one for Jurassic Park this year.
A Golden Girls strategy game.
Right. Yep. Make your way to the fridge and find the cheesecake. Yeah.
You got to help Dorothy get in her diapers before she goes to bed, and you only have 7 minutes.
Oh gosh. Anyway, that's a look at what's coming up for you Funko collectors.
Well, I definitely want a Willie Nelson, and I'd like for them to release a Waylon Jennings to go with it, and a Johnny Cash.
That definitely could happen. I can see that happening. As much as they do everything now, I would bank on that. All right, let's get into some food talk here before we wrap it up. I got a peek inside. I'm not sure if you saw this too, because I think you follow, brandeating.com. They showed us what was inside the Coca-Cola Insiders subscription box, the first one. And I thought this was cool. I thought this was it made me go out and put my name on the waiting list. So inside the box for January, you got the Smart Water Cucumber Lime flavor. You got Coca-Cola Energy Zero Sugar Cherry. Why can't they make these names a little bit shorter? You got Fanta Peach, and then as also some add-ons, you got a $5 Amazon gift card in there, a Coca-Cola pen set, which was just the different flavors and brands on, I think it was maybe about 6 or 8 different pens, an Insider Club laptop sticker, and a Coca-Cola bottle and can shaped stickers.
Well, that's cool, but the $5 Amazon gift card kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, don't it?
Yeah, well, I think it said something there like $5 towards your whatever next beverage purchase. You're using it for anything at that point, but for somebody who's an early subscriber to give half your money back, essentially, right? Wasn't it $10 a month? I think.
No, it was more than that, wasn't it?
I thought it was like that you paid $50 for the first 5 months or 6 months or something. Anyway. I think it was essentially like half your money back there. I was like, oh, well, that's cool. Yeah. I doubt they're going to put one in there each time, but I don't know. I thought that was a neat mix of, you want the drinks, but you're also getting some fun Coca-Cola collectibles and stuff on the side.
And, Coca-Cola collectibles are a big thing. And if these are exclusive and there are Coke collectors who are not in it, if you don't want like that Coca-Cola pen set, I'm sure you can get good money for it on eBay. So you could probably essentially get all your money back and then some.
I would agree with that. And then finally, Oreo's got some new flavors. Did you try any of the weird Oreo flavors out there?
When we've really kind of stopped doing the food review channel with my daughter. We need to pick that back up. But, man, we done probably 7 or 8 different Oreo videos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we like all the Oreo flavors.
Well, the new ones...
But we like trying them anyway. We don't always like all of them, but we like trying them.
Well, they've got 2 new ones coming out. Caramel Coconut, which sounds interesting to me. I do like coconut. And then chocolate marshmallow flavor.
Now, I've not seen that one, but I've seen the caramel coconut. And if you think about Girl Scout cookies, those Samoas, that's what it looks like.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the vibe you get from looking at the package. It looks, you got the chocolate cookie, and then you got the caramel and the coconut, just like a Samoa Girl Scout. So you might want to pick those up and try them. Yep,
definitely going to try that. Okay, well, that's going to wrap up Recurrent Events. Remember, we've got the calendar now on the website, and just a quick look at this week. We've got Terminator Dark Fate hitting Blu-ray. That's actually today as this podcast is being released. I've also uploaded a bunch of stuff for February if you want to kind of look ahead. And if you're using Apple, because it's through Google Calendar, but you can get an iCal link. So if you want to add it to your phone and you're an Apple user, there's a little link right at the bottom of the calendar, bottom right-hand side. Just click on that and you can add it to your Apple calendar if you don't do Google. So check that out this week and take a look ahead at February. Lots of good stuff coming in February, movies and more Blu-rays and music and all kinds of stuff for you to check out on the calendar. And don't forget, I literally had to whittle down what I put in the Recurrent Events this week because there was so much. So there's a lot more. There's a new Aaron Brockovich series coming that's starring Katie Seagal, Peggy Bundy. So there's a lot of stuff I just couldn't fit into this week's Recurrent Events. So make sure you check out the post that was uploaded this past Sunday. And I do that every week. So there's a lot more stuff in there to check out. But coming up, we're going to get back inside the time machine. We're going back to our favorite fictional sporting events that we wanted to attend back in the day. This should be really fun. Mm-hmm. I've got a lot on my list. I could have easily made a top 10. I think we're just going to whittle it down to 5 and throw in some honorable mentions. But, man, lots of good stuff to talk about. So don't move. Hello, listeners. It is Jason again with a quick reminder about our retro streaming content that we've been focusing on in the new year on the Retro Network. First, we've got the brand new Picard series that we are reviewing week to week thanks to Brady Vardaman. Episode 1 is now streaming, and our review was posted last Friday, the day after it dropped. Hope you will check that out this coming week. We've also got the monthly streaming guide, which will help you find all of your favorite retro movies and TV shows across the streaming platforms, including Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Disney+, the Roku channel, Pluto TV, CBS All Access, and several others. The Retro Streaming Guide drops right at the beginning of each month to help you out, and we are focusing in on several specific apps, including ESPN Plus, which is currently on the Retro Network website, highlighting all of the great classic games, documentaries, and content that you can find on that streaming app. I'll also be taking a look at the brand new NBC Peacock app and all the content that's been released thus far, including classic shows and movies, and also new original shows based on Saved by the Bell and Punky Brewster. And also coming up, we are going to take a look at the WWE Network app. Thanks to Kevin Hellions. He's going to take us through the app and let us know all of the classic matches and documentaries and footage that they have available over on the WWE Network very soon. So make sure you're connected with the RetroNetwork.com website. And if you want to focus in just on our streaming content, find @RetroStreaming on Twitter. And all of the content posted on the Retro Network website is syndicated for you right there. So I hope you will go check out all of our streaming content this week on the RetroNetwork.com and look for more in the very near future. All right, welcome back to the TRN Time Machine. And this week we're going back to talk about our favorite fictional sporting events. As always, this segment is sponsored by Retro Days. And thanks to Mickey, we've got some of the latest videos right there on our homepage on the retronetwork.com the latest one with The Simpsons, and the last couple episodes, I believe, are up there as well. So, yeah, go check that out this week. The channel is just great, and we can't say enough about it. But moving on to our topic this week, I put this in here, Mick, just to kind of break the ice. And do you have a favorite sport that you like to watch on TV? And then as a follow-up, what's your favorite sport to watch live versus just sitting at home?
I guess my favorite would be football, college over pro at that point. But I like to watch a baseball game every now and then. I like UFC, wrestling, the occasional basketball game. I'm more of a basketball highlights guy. I get disinterested in watching a whole basketball game, but I like watching highlights. But as far as to watch live, I like the whole experience of going to a baseball game. Mm-hmm. A lot of people find it boring. I find it relaxing. You can actually sit and talk to somebody, but you can also concentrate on what's happening and have good food. And in a nice summer night, I really like the atmosphere of a live baseball game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. There's just a nice pace about it, and it is relaxing. It's just, oh gosh, it's going to take 3 hours, 3.5 hours. And they even got the pitch clock now that they have, which I don't even know if they enforce that or anything in baseball. But
the baseball games I go to are minor league, and they don't have that stuff. That's the environment. Maybe I should preface that. I've been to some pro baseball games and didn't enjoy it because it's too much stuff. But I love going to watch minor league baseball. The people who are out there not playing for millions of dollars, they're playing to get to millions of dollars. But
that's right.
They're working hard and they're trying hard, and it's just like an old time carnival coming to town kind of vibe. All the players are out there before the game doing stuff, signing autographs, participating in game, getting people interested. And, we take our kids and they love it. They're not even sports fans by far, but they love going to the baseball games. JJ actually called we've got several around here. We've got the Bristol Pirates, or the Bristol Sox now, actually. I keep calling them the Bristol Pirates. The Pulaski Yankees. We go up to Pulaski a lot, which is their minor league stadium. They are single A? No. Summer league. No. Rookie league. But at that level, for the last 3-4 years, they've been voted as the best minor league ballpark at that level in America. And there's hundreds of them at that level. Mm-hmm. And it is really nice. Calfee Park up there. They have the best concession stand of any sporting event I've ever been to. Just great environment, set in the side of those rock hills there. Mm-hmm. It's just a great fun environment.
Yeah, I've had some great minor league experiences too. We have a minor league team here in Montgomery, the Biscuits, and they're in the, I believe, Southern League. The baseball stadium is a converted train station, and in left field, there is a train track, and the train will go by several times during the game. It's really cool, and you can, if they hit a ball at the right time, a home run, it could hit the train. I mean, it's freaking cool. And like you, I mean, there's just the food is all reasonably priced, not like at the major league level where you're having to take out a loan just to get a dog and a beer. But it's great, and they got special theme nights. I don't know if any of your ballparks do that. They'll have like 80s night or Star Wars night or something like that. And just a fun time. Make it more of a family-friendly atmosphere, and the tickets are cheap. And, yeah, you can't beat stuff like that. I used to go – probably my favorite sport to watch live that I really don't like to watch on television is hockey. And when I was younger, we'd go down to the Johnstown Chiefs, usually every year as a field trip, and watch a game there and watch minor league hockey. And oh my gosh. And then when I got to college in Georgia, we would drive over to Greenville, South Carolina, to the Greenville Growl, and we would get the nosebleeds at $5 and just the stadium was not packed, trust me. And we would make our way, we just kind of make our way down, at some point in the game closer to, the ice. And I don't know, there's something about hockey and watching it live and have fighting, and, you get some nice hits on some people. And I don't know. I like the environment of watching hockey live, especially on the minor league level. So that's like probably my favorite sport to watch live. And I do enjoy a good baseball game like you once in a while. As far as TV goes, I don't know, my viewing habits have changed over the years. I used to be into all the major sports and even NASCAR, when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And just over the years, I've kind of leaned towards more football, getting through that season, college football like you, but also some in the pros. And then March Madness, when that rolls around, I love filling out that bracket. I've got to fill out a bracket every year. And, that's when I touch base with some of my older friends, too, that I don't talk with much. And we'll fill out brackets or go on, one of these websites and do a group bracket. So I'd love watching March Madness. That's might be my favorite time of the year, being more of a basketball fan than I wouldn't say I'm more basketball fan than football, but those are the sports that I like to watch on TV more or less. Baseball, hockey, no. But again, it's weird. I'd rather have that experience live, and there's something about watching those two sports live for me.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, that was a fun little ice break into it. Let's get into this and, just kind of what you were talking about, the motivation of watching some of these movies. There's a ton of great sports movies out there that I will circle back to when that sport kind of comes in season again. and thinking about even some of these other fun ones I'm going to mention, television shows as well, where there's like one instance you're like, oh man, I wish I was there watching this. It would be great. But we'll do a top 5. I don't know if you've got a specific order or anything, or if you're just going to throw some events out there. But I've got probably 5 or 6 honorable mentions that I can use as a backup if we choose the same thing, which I'm thinking we might have maybe one. So
if we do, it'll probably just be one.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
So
right.
This was your idea. I'll let you lead it off.
All right, number 5, the movie 1986, the movie Body Slam, the climactic tag team championship match at the end of the movie, and I'll set it up for you why I want to go. The movie had Roddy Piper in it playing Quick Rick Roberts was his name, and you had the Tonga Kid there playing his tag team partner, and Dirk Benedict was the wrestling manager. He was a music manager, got into wrestling accidentally. Anyway, he put these guys together as a tag team. They're climbing the charts. They're chasing the Cannibals, Axe and Hammer, managed by Captain Lou Albano. All of a sudden, Axe and Hammer interrupt one of their matches and beat the dog pee out of them, injure them severely, and they take a lot of time off wrestling, and they decide they want to get back, and they become the number 1 contenders again, and it's all building up at the LA Sports Arena for Axe and Cannibal. They've been tag team champions for 5 straight years, and you got this whole revenge factor in the match, and there's all these celebrities there. There's these famous wrestlers there to watch the match, and I don't know, it just was adrenaline for me anyway, watching this movie for the first time in 87. I'd been 9 years old, huge wrestling fan. I was so pumped during the movie to see this final match. So I'm putting that on my list as number 5, the tag team title match between the Cannibals against Quick Rick. What did I say his name? Quick Rick Roberts and Tonga Tom.
Our friend Chad, horror movie barbecue Chad, has told me about this movie. It's one I have never seen, and I need to remedy that. Yeah,
it's fun. It's got Dirk Benedict in it. It's got Tanya Roberts in it. Hal Needham's in it with guest appearance. Of course, Captain Lou Albano and Roddy Piper make the movie great. But
sure,
you're talking about Chad has told you all about it. Well, in my back pocket, I actually have a full review of this movie written by Adam from the Retro Network. That we'll probably wait till closer to WrestleMania and do it, when wrestling's the hot topic. But yeah, we'll put that up for people here in the near future.
Cool. Yeah, I'd like to get a little review of that, but yeah, I got to just seek it out and watch it because I've heard great things about it, and if it's got the Face Man in it, yeah, I'll watch it just for him. And some of the and Rowdy Piper too. Yeah,
it's a fun movie.
Cool. All right, number 5 for me, God, it was just so hard to narrow this down to 5. But I put in here one of my favorite, one of my favorite golf movies is Tin Cup, 1996.
Oh, yes.
Now, you would think about which round would you like to watch him? And I don't want to watch the round where he's dunking the ball in there and then finally makes it at the end. I'm going for the round in the U.S. Open qualifier where he breaks all his clubs and uses his 7-iron to finish the back 9. I want to see him use that one club to to play golf with on that back 9 and make the qualifier. So it's a great movie, and I love Cheech Marin. He's just feeds off him so well. And oh gosh, I just love picking up that movie. I usually watch it about once a year.
That is such a good movie. I would like to watch the round where he played without any clubs and was using the hoe and the baseball bat and the pool cue.
That's another one too. Yeah. Gosh.
The baseball bat was his driver. He'd toss the ball up and smack it. And he'd use the hoe as his wedge. And that was a good movie. The whole movie was good.
Great one.
They were men after my own heart with their love of Waffle House too. Right. Give me a Waffle House anytime.
All right. What's your next pick?
Well, it's funny that you brought up the Johnstown Chiefs, because I'm going to talk about the Charleston Chiefs from the movie Slapshot.
Okay.
And in that league final game, after Paul Newman had taught all the players to fight and bring excitement to try to save the team and bring fans in, that final game, I can't remember the name of the team they played, but you had the Hanson brothers who were mugging people all season long to ramp up the appeal to the fans. They had an ambulance turn its siren and lights on and drive around the arena for an hour before the game. They were advertising it as blood and guts. And the opposing team signed some of the nastiest minor league hockey players they could find with all these reputations. And that game was a bloodbath. It was a bloodbath. At the start of the game, when they dropped the puck, everybody squared off and started fighting instead of going for the puck. And the spectacle, the way they would build that up, if you were in the area and you're seeing it in the paper and hearing it on the radio, it's going to be a bloodbath. And you get there and there's an ambulance driving around the arena with its lights on and stuff. You're thinking, man, we're in for some stuff here tonight.
Yeah.
And then it just at the drop of the puck, the major 5-on-5 or 6-on-6 fight to start the whole thing. Yeah. Let me go watch that live in person. Let me buy a beer and a big popcorn and get settled in and get ready for some blood and guts. Because, I'm an old pro wrestling fan, so that's bringing pro wrestling to the ice, and I would be in the crowd for that.
Yeah, that's a good choice. It's a movie I have not watched enough of. I've seen it a couple times over the years, but just not really one that I've connected with. Even though, gosh, I mean, I think it was probably filmed in PA, for some of those scenes and stuff. But gosh, yeah, good choice. That's a fun choice. I can imagine that hype. Freaking ambulance. That's great. All right, number 4. You might laugh at me about this one, but I remember watching the movie in the theater and the hype around it, and I was huge into wrestling, so it was kind of a natural thing to go to arm wrestling. I'm going to go with the 1987 World Arm Wrestling Championship in Las Vegas in Over the Top.
Man, don't forget to turn your hat around backwards.
That's right, man. And there's, just imagine all the great characters that, they built into that tournament. The dude that like drinks motor oil, and just the lead up to the match where these guys are like trying to pump each other up and beating on each other, and, and then they, come down and do the actual arm wrestling. That would be fun to watch too, not just the match itself, and the tournament style. And you got that announcer just kind of pumping up the place. It's almost like a wrestling setting, but I don't know. I've always loved that movie. It's, probably a guilty pleasure, you would say, to most people, but yeah, I just loved that whole movie beginning to end, and I'll still go back and watch it at least once a year. It's great, even though it's screwed up at the end. They build up this whole thing. It's a double elimination. You've got to lose twice, and of course, the dude that he beats at the end, the big bull guy, he only loses once. So he would have had to like beat him twice at the end. But anyway, it was still a fun movie, and I would have loved to be in the crowds just watching these guys in preparation for the actual matches too. So that's my number 4 pick.
Wow, that's a good one there too. I like that movie. My number 3 pick. We seen Rocky Balboa fight wars in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen him fight wars on the street with Tommy the Gun, whatever his name was. Tommy the Machine Gun. That's what they called him. But, you know, we're going to get to some feedback from people. Somebody mentioned the Rocky versus Drago fight. And that was originally on my list. But the more I got to thinking about it, I want to see the fight that nobody saw. And that's at the end of Rocky 3 when him and Apollo Creed get in the ring. Nobody around, nothing to do. Because rumor has it in the Hollywood industry that Apollo Creed won that fight, but we never got to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But let me see those two guys with nothing on the line, just throwing hands. I'd like to be a fly on the wall in that gym watching them go at it. Because, you know, Rocky's at his peak. And like he told Apollo, you know, you taught me everything you know. And Apollo's like, no, I taught you everything you know, but I didn't teach you everything I know. I'd like to see them in that fight.
I like that pick. Yeah. There's definitely some obvious ones. There's one coming up on my list, but I didn't even think about that. Just, you know, them two going at it at the end of the movie. That would be great to watch.
Without actual referees and rules, you know, they get in a tight clinch. They may go to the ground and start fighting. You don't know. It could have turned into a UFC contest.
That's right.
So, yeah, I want to see that one.
Awesome. All right. For my number 3 pick, probably my favorite baseball movie. It's in a battle between 2 at the top of my baseball movie list, but I want to watch the Cleveland Indians versus the New York Yankees for the AL pennant, that last game in Major League. I just imagine myself as one of those fans that are in the stands the whole season, you know, up there, and they start the chant of Wild Thing, and then to get to that point where they're against the top team for the pennant and the electricity of the crowd. And when Wild Thing comes in at the end, you know, I just want that whole experience. Such great. And then, you know, this little twist at the end of what's his face, Jake bunting, you know, I mean, you would never have expected that as the ending of that movie, which is so great. So just witnessing that whole thing would be fun.
You know, I'll go on out there and say the ending game from the second Major League movie where Wild Thing hasn't been Wild Thing all season, but all of a sudden when they need him most, they start blaring Wild Thing, and here he comes wearing the leather jacket and the haircut and the glasses, and you're like, oh, the shit is on now. You know? You talk about you could blow the top of your head off with adrenaline from that moment if you were in the crowd.
That's right.
Is it my number 2 pick now?
Number 2 pick, yep.
This is going to surprise people. That's not number 1. But I want it to be at the All Valley 84 karate tournament from Karate Kid.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you think most of it, my daughter fights Taekwondo. We go to tournaments and things. And it's kind of like it is there in the tournament, Karate Kid. You've got all these different mats and there's different fights happening all the time. So that part's not super exciting. I can tell you from experience, you're rushing around from place to place, and it's like you need to be at mat number 6 in 5 minutes, and like, where the hell's mat number 6? So, and as a spectator, you're kind of watching all this happening, and you can't watch it all at one time. But it does come down to the ending where, you know, all the attention is on one thing. So none of that makes me want to go. But this is looking at it through hindsight. Mm-hmm. When Cobra Kai is dominating, and you got this new, fresh young kid who's winning all his fights, and you see the dirty shots and stuff, and you get to the trophy presentation, and then you get the Daniel LaRusso's going to fight. Oh my goodness. Would that just not bring you up out of your seat? Yeah. Like, holy crap, this kid's going to come out here and fight. Good on him. But yeah, it's kind of the same with all these sporting events we're talking about. We're looking at them with a hindsight perspective. We know after the fact how great of a game that game in Major League was. You didn't know that when you'd buy your ticket, So people need to take all this with a grain of salt. But you didn't know you would have this huge comeback story at the All Valley tournament. But we're going anyway. Okay, people. I want to go see Daniel LaRusso fight Johnny Lawrence, and yeah.
That's why that was kind of the mindset that I was going through, was when you're purchasing the ticket and the hype around it, and you probably wouldn't have that hype, but once you're there and you're seeing, it's your ultimate underdog story. Everybody likes the Cinderella team. I've got one coming up in my next pick, but everybody wants that underdog, and they root for them against the reigning champion or the dominant team or person. You like rooting for the underdog. So it would be a very big momentum builder throughout that tournament, watching Daniel, and then at the end with him hurt and fighting, gosh, it would be just electric in there.
Yeah.
That was my first one out. It probably should have been in my top 5, but that was definitely one that I considered for my top 5.
Well, that was the one I thought we would have picked the same. Now I know that we're not going to have any the same, because you're not picking my top pick. I already know.
Okay. Number 2 for me, again, like I said, I love watching March Madness. And this would have been the ultimate Cinderella team, David versus Goliath. I'm talking about Hickory versus South Bend from the movie Hoosiers.
Good.
And the Indiana State basketball title championship there. It's definitely my favorite basketball movie, and the process of the team, watching them, the ups and downs, not having Jimmy, and then Jimmy coming back, and then at the end it was such a tight game, in hindsight, coming down to the last shot, but they're way out of their league at this point, and then still be able to hold it, come together, and win the championship. At the end, I would have loved to have been in that gym and root for them, as that Cinderella team. Mm-hmm. So that's my number 2 pick.
I just thought of another one that I hadn't thought about till now, and I don't know whether to make it my number 1 pick.
Okay.
Let me write it down. I'm going to save it for an honorable mention.
Okay.
That's too good not to bring up after the fact. Oh, man, I just thought of another one, too.
Write them down.
This is hard.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I could have definitely did a top 10.
I'm going to go with my original number 1, though, and I'll bring these others up as I want to be in the walled city to watch the entire Kumite tournament from start to finish from Bloodsport. Because I'm that kind of fighting fan that, the worse, the better. You know what I mean? That's some full body contact fighting, martial arts, who's the best. Unfortunately, you see someone die in this particular tournament, and see somebody get put in a coma in this particular tournament, but then you get to see Frank Dukes set everything right. And just that whole environment, the betting, the underground aspect of it, the illegality. As somebody who enjoys the things that are on the fringe of society and the fringe of lawlessness, the Kumite is right up my alley. So let me go there. Let me take a fistful of cash and start betting the action and cheering people. And I want to go to the Kumite.
Okay. That didn't even cross my mind.
That's why I said picking my number 1 pick.
It should have, but that's a great choice at number 1. That just fits you perfectly, man. That's a fun choice. It's a movie. It's one that I watched many, many times over the years as it was on cable, but it's been a while. It's probably been, 10 years since I watched that. So, all right, number 1 for me. I mean, just the hype around this. It's the Cold War. It's got to be Rocky versus Drago. And being probably one of the only Americans, at the actual match, and hearing the Russians cheer for him, witnessing Drago being cut for the first time, just the hype around the whole thing would have been just unbelievable. And you would have paid a king's ransom just to be there,
Right.
If they would have let you in the door. That's the thing too. But anyway.
Do you like to be in that sea of Russian fans and you're wearing like an American flag bandana?
Absolutely. Yes, man.
Your family would have never seen you again.
Probably not, but well, with the outcome of the thing, I probably would have like, hey, can I hitch a ride back with you, Rock? But yeah, I don't know. That was just it would have been great to be. I think we've all been there too, where you've gone to see your favorite team that's on the road somewhere, even if it's just your high school basketball team or something, and been in that environment, and you're just screaming, yeah, for the visiting team, and people are looking at you like you're nuts. Oh, it would have been great. It would have been great.
For those people, when they're looking at you like that, you got to instantly stop cheering and look at them. Say, what the hell are you looking at?
Right.
That fixes it right then. Unless they got a lot of large friends with them.
Yeah.
Then you might have to kick one of them in the shin and run.
Yeah. The Russians be behind me. Sir, could you sit down and remove your American flag from my view?
How about you kiss my American?
Yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to have a poster that just says America.
America.
Waving it from the crowd.
Touch back on my number one for just a second. If you're one of those other fighters in the Kumite and you watch Frank Dukes do the whole dim mock thing where he blows that brick out of the bottom, ain't you like, yeah, man, I'm out. I don't need my liver flying out my back when he hits me.
Good point. Yep.
I'm good. I'll fight next year. Well, what about honorable mentions? What you got?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I mentioned the All Valley tournament. Another one that I would love, and I'm not. This is a toss up between rounds here. So, talking Happy Gilmore. Do you watch the last round of the Tour Championship with him versus Shooter, or are you in the crowd when the whole Happy and Bob Barker scene goes down? I don't know. It's kind of a toss there.
The celebrity pro-am, because you got this rising star that's exciting that you're going to get to see, but you also get to see celebrity. So yeah, I would probably pick that one myself.
Okay. What's one for you?
The second basketball game in Teen Wolf. And I say the second one because not the one where he transforms into the wolf, but the second one, because you would have already known about that. And you'd be like, there's a freaking wolf playing basketball.
Yeah.
Give me a ticket today. Yep. I'm going to watch this.
That's
and
right.
He looks cool with that headband and sunglasses.
Absolutely.
So, he looks like he's a Harlem Globetrotter in real life, but he's a freaking wolf.
That's right. And I thought about that too. I had it on my list. I was like, yeah. Do you want to be at the game witnessing him transform and be like, oh my gosh, or all that hype in between that and the next game?
Yeah, I'm betting the next game.
Another one for me. How about the guards versus the prisoners in the longest yard?
Yes,
the original. Yeah,
exactly.
That was another one I remember watching a lot on every time it would come on cable. I don't know if I've ever seen the just theatrical version of it, but oh gosh, yeah, I always got sucked into watching that movie, and just just the plays that he calls, and it's just so great. I would love to watch that.
Well, again, looking at it from the aspect of before it happens, so just the concept of we get to see prison guards play prison convicts. Well, some shit's going down in that game, so you want to be there for it.
Yeah.
Add in the fact you have a former pro star quarterback playing for the Cons. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I want to go see that.
Okay, what's another one for you?
James the Grim Reaper Roper versus Irish Terry Conklin boxing match from The Great White Hype. Have you seen that movie?
I have not.
Oh, it is so fun. Samuel L. Jackson and Damon Wayans and some John Lovitz and other people, But the whole movie is built on the fact that James the Grim Reaper Roper, there are no challengers for him. His pay-per-view numbers are dropping. So the underhanded Sultan, Samuel L. Jackson, starts asking the question, what's the highest grossing fight of all time? It was Cooney versus Holmes, because Jerry Cooney was a white guy. And people were tired of seeing brothers beat up on brothers. And Damon Wayans' character, the Reaper's like, man, there ain't no white contender out there. And He says, if there's not a white contender out there for you, I'll make you one. And the whole movie is they find this white guy who actually, when they went back through their history, found out he's the only guy to ever beat James Grim Reaper Roper when they were amateurs. And he just happens to be white. So they build it up. They get him ranked without a pro fight. And the whole movie is spent hyping this fight and making you believe that Irish Terry Conklin has a chance. And Jeff Goldblum's in it, and he actually switches sides and buys the contract of Terry Conklin because he knows he's going to win. And yada. They build up the hype so big, it's the biggest fight of all time. And James Roper knocks him out in 14 seconds. Spoiler alert for people: Irish Terry Conklin does not win. So, but the hype that they put into that fight throughout the whole movie. Even watching the movie, I wanted to buy a ticket to go to the fight because they made you believe Irish Terry Conklin is coming to conquer this man. Oh yeah, so that's an honorable mention.
Okay, I've got a couple baseball ones here. I mean, who wouldn't have wanted to watch Ghosts play? You know, the Field of Dreams. That's the one I go back and forth with on Major League. It's my favorite movie, and imagining whoever, your past heroes coming out of that corn to play some baseball. Who wouldn't want a ticket to that? The other one would be the game when the Natural hits that home run that breaks the lights, and that's a movie I have not watched in a while. I've got it. I think I still have it on VHS, but that's another great baseball movie. And the legend, kind of that, I was at the game when he hit that ball,
Yeah.
You imagine telling that to your friends, right? So had to be at that one. I've got one more. Do you got any more?
Well, I've got two.
Okay.
And they're both fighting related. One would be the Tai P death match from Kickboxer, where they glue the broken glass on their taped fist and fight.
Yeah.
Let me see that crap too. And the other one would be Hulk Hogan versus Zeus. No holds barred. Just the whole way that setup was.
I could have tagged you for that. If Chad had been here, that would have been his number one probably. But I remember that being even as a kid, the hype around that, and then going to see the movie, and once Zeus came to the WWF after that, that was a big deal when I was a kid. The last one I have is kind of a tie. I want to be at Al Bundy's 4-touchdown game.
Yes.
I mean, he wouldn't have been the Al that we know him, but still, all of the hype he puts around that game. I either want to be there or I want to be at the bowling alley when Al breaks the record and then Peggy right next to him bowls the perfect game to beat him. You remember that episode?
Yeah.
Like there's this huge deal where I can't remember there was some like lane record that Al was trying to break, and I think he ends up breaking it by like one pin. And then I think it's Peggy's birthday and she goes in there and just starts bowling strikes without it, kind of on the side and bowls a perfect game and steals his thunder. Yep. So that was kind of a tie.
I did have another one wrote down here, and that would be that bowling tournament from Kingpin. Because here's a dude with a rubber hand that's going to try to bowl. And you got Big Ern McCracken with the crystal ball with the rose in it.
That's right. Yeah.
Welcome to my church.
Yeah, that would be fun to watch too. Okay. Any more you want to throw out there?
I think that's it for now.
Okay, we did get a little bit of feedback. Let's go through this real quick. Old School 80s Tim, who writes for us on occasion over there on Facebook, says, I was actually at the filming of Major League and that game-winning bunt. Wow. Awesome memories and still a favorite movie. It would be mine too, man, if you were there to, as one of the extras.
Yeah.
Cool. That's very cool. Michael Woods over there on Facebook. This is your buddy Tiny there. I think the obvious answer for me is to be in Russia to watch Rocky and Ivan and Rocky 4. The one I think I would have enjoyed the most to watch, Kit run over Dottie for the championship in A League of Their Own. I love that movie.
That was on my short list too, that final game, sister versus sister. Yeah.
That's right. There's been some good hype there. At Crooked Ninja on Twitter, Rocky versus Thunder Lips. The ultimate male versus the ultimate meatball.
I'm Thunder Lips, baby.
And then Icy Robots on Twitter, Rocky versus Apollo in Rocky 1.
Oh, that's a good pick too.
Yeah.
Up
until what, like Rocky 5, you could pick any of those.
Well, I tell you, I would love to be on the streets of Philadelphia watching them brawl through the neighborhood too. I'll take all of them.
So that was our feedback on there. If you've got another one that's your favorite, it's never too late to reach out to us at TRN Social on Twitter, Facebook, even Instagram, wherever you want to find us. Let us know what choice you would have put in your list that we might have missed. And we'll continue the conversation over there on social media. But coming up, we're going to wrap things up. We're going to close the time machine for now. We're going to get back into reality for a little bit and tell you what's coming up this week on the Retro Network. So stay tuned. All right, we are back to wrap up this week's TRN podcast, and we've got some shout-outs to get to first and some feedback before we get to what's coming up on the Retro Network, and we'll just run through these, Mick, here. Some great stuff this week. Just recently had an article drop on the 321 Contact 40th anniversary, and Karen Flieger over there on Facebook. That's awesome. I would love to see the Electric Company get some love. That was a great show, too. So Kevin was actually the one that put that article together, so maybe we'll commission him to do something on the Electric Company as well, because that was a really great article.
I might do something on Waterworks while we're at it. It's a Monopoly joke. Electric Company and Waterworks. Yeah,
I got you.
It's a bad joke.
But
it's a joke.
Okay. To our podcast number 29 on fast food toys and promotions, Mike Stewart on Facebook, listening to this one now. I've got all of the Gremlins storybooks. I've had them since they were released. And I think you even said you were jealous back at him.
I was jealous.
Gerospace on YouTube. I remember trying to collect all the Muppet Babies toys in the Happy Meals as a kid. I'm guessing it might have been around 1987. Also, it's not really a toy, but I had to mention the glasses with Looney Tunes on them that we got. I can't remember where. I'm thinking maybe it was Pizza Hut. They were so cool. I mean, we didn't mention any of the drinking glasses. I mean, that was a huge promotion for a lot of fast food places.
I didn't mention any of them because in the back of my mind, I'm thinking that could be a show all its own. Because I had a lot of drinking glasses that I loved from back then.
I did too. I still see them in thrift shops, and I'm like, oh, we've got so many glasses in here. I'd love just to get rid of what we have and just go retro and start buying those again, man.
Yep.
Good stuff. Okay, we got an awesome, just out of the blue shout out on Twitter from Crooked Ninja, aka the Crooked Ninja Turtle. He says, shout out to TRN Social for the great lineup of podcasts, which have become a staple for my commute home. Keep up the good work. I also want to hear Mickey's thoughts on the Pizzone one day. And then you went back at him. That may have to wait until we expand the show by another hour.
Yeah, because that would take a while.
But man, we appreciate that. And he did follow up on that, the 1995 episode we just did. He said that was entertaining. A lot of stuff I had completely forgotten about. I think 95 was the beginning of my comic book / X-Men craze. So yeah, that was just like we were saying before, and we've said in past podcasts, that's the kind of feedback currency that we just love to get. So definitely appreciate that. And then on the 1995 time capsule, at Hoju Coolander, our buddy Adam, you guys did a great job on the time capsule for 95, but the great omission for music, as far as I'm concerned, is the soundtrack to Mortal Kombat. That's me doing the imitation of that. I remember that being big, that one track from from the soundtrack, the theme or whatever. But I don't remember what else was on there. Probably just a lot of that kind of whatever you call it, dance, gym music now, He also mentioned one more item for the 95 time capsule. You mentioned her briefly, the gal who was battling Bridget Wilson as my junior high school crush. Yes, Xena Warrior Princess Mousepad. And he showed a picture of it.
Yeah, he had that picture. And it had that cool old school Apple mouse, too. On the mouse. I got some personal feedback on the 95 time capsule, too, about how fun it was. So Jason and I had talked privately. We're going to do more of these from different years. Yeah. There are a lot of years we can cover, folks.
There is
more of them.
Yeah, definitely. 80s, 90s era. Maybe we could go back maybe a little bit earlier than that, but that was kind of our sweet spot for pop culture and everything. Got some feedback on your Saved by the Bell Wax Pack flashback. Tony, this is from YouTube. Retro Days, awesome pack of cards, and thanks for the shout out, good sir. And then Gerospace, those are awesome. My wife and I just rewatched the whole series about a year ago. I had no idea these cards existed until now, which was odd because I was pretty much into trading cards in that era. Love these videos. Thanks for putting them up and for our viewing pleasure.
Well, he's very welcome. I was big into trading cards at the same time that Saved by the Bell was on, and I had no clue they existed until 6 months ago. So
that's cool.
They must not have been that widely released or something.
That could have been. But yeah, that's great finding those little nuggets like that in trading cards. And then one more on your Action Pack 1990 football cards, which was, I believe, just last week. Mountain Way Adventures. Is that tiny?
That is tiny.
Okay. These are my favorite cards ever, he says. I bought a box off of eBay. I opened about half of them, sold the other half for more than what I paid for them, but now I'm regretting selling them. Go Niners.
Yep. Tiny and I are both 49er fans, so next week is a big one for us. 49ers in the Super Bowl again, and I could have told you that was Tiny's favorite cards. I think I gave him some of them for Christmas last year.
Yeah.
So, just like you got this year, a whole box of unopened trading cards. Tiny got a box, last year, and I think that was in there.
Now how many championships do the Niners have? Is it 5?
We have 5. We've played in 6. We've won 5.
Okay. So you need one more to get up to my Pittsburgh Steelers then. I think they have 6. So we'll see if they can do it this year. I'm more of an AFC guy, and I'm not a big fan of the Chiefs, so I don't really have a dog in the hunt this year. I'm just going to sit back and watch the commercials.
Well, not only the commercials, but whether you have a dog in the hunt, I think this may be an exciting game. No matter who wins, I think it may be exciting to watch as a fan. So hopefully 49ers can pull it off.
Now, out of the top teams, I just kind of Googled real quick. The Niners have the best record as far as Super Bowls go. They're 5-1. Cowboys are 5-3, and then the two top ones, my Steelers have 6. They're 6-2, and the Patriots are 6-5. I'm just glad they're not in it this year. Good God. Anyway, we'll see what happens with that. Now, let's talk about some stuff coming up on the Retro Network. What's your next Wax Pack flashback?
The brand Classic. It used to put out like classic draft pick cards and stuff. Monster truck cards from the 90s, when monster trucks really took off in popularity when they were on ESPN every afternoon. This is a really fun pack of cards because I was super into that. I would rush home from school every day and watch monster trucks. So anybody who will remember the monster truck craze from the 90s should enjoy this pack opening.
Mm-hmm. I think they had a show on, was it TNN?
Yeah, they had TNN as well.
I think I remember watching it there the most, more than ESPN. But yeah, great era. I've taken my boys actually to some local monster truck shows, even within the last 5 years. And we went to the best one we ever went to was we went to one at the Georgia Dome with Monster Jam, and I wanted to get what's his name, Gravedigger, Dennis Anderson. wanted to get his signature. His line was literally wrapped around the arena to get a signature. But I did get Tom Mintz, which was my favorite. Maximum Destruction. He had the was it Goldberg? I think had the truck. He drove that for a while. Mm-hmm. That was when my oldest was, I don't know, probably 6 or 7, and such a great time. I love that's one. I would say that might be just below hockey. Watching, if you want to call it a sport, watching monster trucks just get destroyed and race, and oh gosh, so much fun.
My favorite monster truck was back from the early days, from the late 80s. It was called Casper, the Friendly Ghost. It was a pearl white 57 Chevy that was jacked up as a monster truck, and it had these pale blue flames on the front of it. Man, that was a good looking monster truck car contraption thing.
I had not watched just an event. I think I saw one. It was, I don't know, probably teenage years at like a county fair. And then I think it was Barefoot came to one of our local dealers. And I remember that being a big deal. They had one little row of cars for him to crush, and got my picture with it. There's pictures of me with it somewhere. That was really cool. But it was at the height, when Bigfoot was just the top. And then even Gravedigger, I think his popularity kind of was about the same time as Bigfoot, but then went on larger more in the 90s, I think. Mm-hmm. But oh gosh, I could talk some monster trucks, man. We used to I had several DVDs when the boys were little that we would put on that's just highlights of accidents, crushing, racing, awesome stuff. So love me some monster trucks. As far as articles, what do we got coming up?
Well, it should already be up now. Your look at the new NBC Peacock app and what all that entails. Mm-hmm. So people should check that out. And we've got some other fun stuff coming up. Over on Patreon, the TRN Fashion Files this week is on Brute Cologne. I don't know how many people were like me when they were young and thought Brute Cologne was the stuff, but we're going to be looking at that this week.
Brute and... was it Stetson? I think my dad
Stetson.
Stetson, he was a Stetson man. And every time I smell that now, I just think of my dad.
My dad was a black suede man. Used to come from Avon. It still is, matter of fact.
Oh, gosh. I remember playing. You remember those like glass or different color glass cars and stuff that the Cologne came in from Avon? And he had like a whole collection of those too, man. And I'd go in there and try to play with them, and he'd be like, "No, you'll break them or whatever, hurt yourself." Good stuff.
On Slack, I just sent you a picture of that Casper monster truck, so you can check it out later.
Okay. As far as podcasts go, of course, tomorrow, as you're listening to this, we've got Wizards episode 3, and man, this show has been really great addition to the network. It's been really popular. And I've been really enjoying listening to the show as it's been dropping, and can't wait for episode 3. That's coming up. Sequel Quest this week has a rewind episode of a sequel to the 2010 A-Team movie. Now, I'm interested in hearing this. I have not listened to this one. This is from their back catalog, but that A-Team movie, I enjoyed it. I had so much fun in the theater watching it. Probably the only one in the theater that was like over the top the way I was, but I just remember it being fun, and it had been a long time since I had that much fun in the movie theater watching a movie. So anxious to hear what they think for a sequel to that movie. And then I'm trying to put together, it's been a while, man. It's been several months since we did a situation jukebox, but we've got to get one of those put together. And I've reached out some feelers to the staff. Hopefully we'll be able to get one recorded here soon and released. That's just such a fun show to do. And then one more note, as far as stuff coming up, I'm putting together the retro streaming guide for February, all the stuff coming to Netflix, Hulu, Disney, just a ton of content. I'm getting that together. We're hopefully going to release that here in a couple days as you're listening to this. So you'll have that as you're getting ready to stream your content for February. So you got anything else, Mick?
No, I believe that's it.
Okay. Another great show, man. This was fun. Great topic. And we will see you next week with another topic. We've talked about a little bit off the air here, putting together some topics maybe for you all to choose and make you guys be the ones that choose the topic. But we like going from week to week too and doing topical stuff on what's happening. You got the Super Bowl coming up, so you want to talk sports, man. So we're going to be discussing that, and you'll be surprised. We'll put something up on social media this week to get you some feedback as we get into our next episode. But as always, you can find us TRN Social, Twitter, Facebook, all the social medias, RD80s and Yesterdayville over on Twitter. And if you get a chance this week, go ahead and leave us a review. We'd appreciate that. Or just a 5-star rating would be awesome as well. But Mick, hope your week is great. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to the Retro Network Podcast channel. Make sure you listen to all of the great podcasts we have to offer right here in this feed. If you enjoy our channel, please give us a 5-star rating in your favorite podcast app. Connect with us on social media by following TRN Social and visit the retronetwork.com website for your daily retro fix. Come back next week for another episode of the Retro Network Podcast.